welcome back. My name's Cherie. I'm so excited for this video because if you watch my last video, you know that I'm determined to be a fantasy girly this year. Okay, let me start over. Let me rewind. Mr. Brandon Sanderson himself published a YouTube video recently that talks about his thoughts on the reading order of his books. And that got me thinking, I want to read more Sanderson. I've only read Mistborn. I've only read one book by Mr. Sanderson himself. And I thought, why not challenge myself? Because we love a good challenge. Why not do the year of Sanderson and read his Cosmere books in 1 year? And I don't know for sure if I can actually read all of his Cosmere books, all of his books in 1 year. I'm not reading like his YA series this year. I think 3 YA series that I don't think I'll be reading this year. But this year is like year of Cosmere. I made myself a cute little spreadsheet because this year I'm also all about spreadsheets. Basically broke the books down to 2 a month. I think for my reading speed, which isn't that fast, but I read a decent amount where I think I could read maybe 2 of his books a month, depending on the length. When we get to Way of Kings, like that's the only book I'll be reading in that month because that book is huge and there are other books obviously I want to read. We're gonna start out with March. As you know, I've already finished Mistborn, the first book, not the series yet. My goal for March is to finish The Well of Ascension and The Hero of Ages. Those are the last 2 books in like Mistborn era 1 because he has another series which is like the Wax and Wane series, which is Mistborn era 2. So my goal for March is to finish Well of Ascension and Hero of Ages. Now, we're already 12 days into March. I don't know if I'll be able to do that, but right now we're just talking goals. Goals for each month of the year, okay? So March will include these 2 books. Now, according to his video, he thinks you should read some of his like standalone books next. So next I will be reading Warbreaker, and I've heard mixed things about this, but I am excited to read kind of like his standalone stuff because I think it will help me like understand him more. I think Mistborn was a great series to start with, but I am excited to read his standalone items, which are clearly not standalone because they're all in the same universe. This is 652 pages, Warbreaker. So I would like to read this one for April, as well as he says that we should read Tress of the Emerald Sea. So I will be hopefully reading this in April. This is one of his secret projects, like his newer books. So I'll be reading Warbreaker and Tress of the Emerald Sea in April. And then he says we should start his Stormlight Archive series. And that book starts with The Way of Kings. She is thick. So thick, definitely over 1,000 pages. I don't know if it'd be the biggest book I've read before because I read It by Stephen King and that's also over 1,000 pages, but the only way that I was able to get through that is I like gave myself a reading goal each day, and it probably took a month to read that book. I think I read like 30 pages a day, and if I finished that 30 pages, then I could move on if I wanted to. We're going to follow Mr. Sanderson, and we are going to start The Way of Kings, and this is going to be in May. This is the only book by him I'm going to read in May. It is huge. This is probably going to take me all month. If I do 30 pages, maybe 30 pages a day, because that's close to like 900 pages. So I might have to do like 40 or so pages a day, maybe 50, but probably 40. And the font is small. And I feel like I would need to read this a little bit slower because of how of the scale of it, you know, so that I can understand it. But this will be in May. This will be the only book that I will be reading in May. And he says he doesn't think that we should go straight into Words of Radiance. I don't have Words of Radiance here in New York. It's in California. I will have my mother send that to me. He says we should not go straight to Words of Radiance because maybe like you could get fatigued. I don't know, but the book is huge. So he's like, take a second from Stormlight. And he says that we should go to one of his smaller works, and he suggests Elantris. So he says actually you should go to Elantris, or you can also start his Mistborn Era 2 books. Based on the order that I want to go in, or the like splitting them up 2 in a month, I'm gonna go to Elantris. And this was like the first book that I think I bought from him. Kept looking at it like at the bookstore and I was just like, this sounds so interesting. It says, with Elantris, Brandon Sanderson, fantasy's new master storyteller, carries you away to a truly original world of magic and intrigue with the rigor of the best science fiction and magnificent characters that make this novel unforgettable. Elantris delightfully proves that a great, complete fantasy story can still be told in a single volume of action, intrigue, wonder, and countless surprises. As Locust says, you'll swiftly forget you're reading a first novel. This is a heck of a debut. This is his debut. That's cool. This is the one I want to move on to next. I'm going to go to Elantris, and then he says you can read Yumi and the Night Painter, which this cover is beautiful. I'll be reading that one, and I bought it because I was like, one, the cover's amazing. Two, I don't know, I like the like beautiful artwork inside of the pages. I'll be starting off the summer with Elantris and Yumi and the Night Painter. So June will be these two. And then he suggests to go back to Stormlight Archive. I will be reading Words of Radiance in July and Edge Dancer. So he said he's intended Edge Dancer and Dawn Shard to be read while you're reading the Stormlight Archive books. So Words of Radiance and Edge Dancer will be in July. Then we're moving on to August. So August, we're gonna do Oathbringer, which is number 3 in the Stormlight Archive. We're gonna do Oathbringer and Dawn Shard. So I need to get my hands on Edge Dancer, Oathbringer, Dawn Shard. So I have like the first part of books that I'm gonna read, but I need to get my hands on like the second one. So we're doing Oathbringer and Dawn Shard in August, and then September we're continuing on with Stormlight Archive. So at this point, like I am deep within Stormlight Archive lore and the story. I would be on book 4. So September is gonna be Rhythm of War and then The Sunlit Man. The Sunlit Man is his newest one from his secret project, and I saw it at the bookstore the other day. The cover is gorgeous. I regret not signing up for his Kickstarter campaign because all of the secret project like special editions that they got are beautiful, and I love The Sunlit Man. Even the one at Barnes & Noble is really pretty. It's like this beautiful red cover. So that will be my September. I'll be reading Rhythm of War, which is also huge. I might have to do Rhythm of War by itself. We'll see. We'll see where we're at in September when I get to Rhythm of War and Sunlit Man. Then we're moving to October. By September, I'll have finished all the books that he's published in the Stormlight Archive story. I heard there's gonna be 10 books. I don't know. But I heard there's gonna be a lot in the Stormlight Archive story. So by September, I'll have finished everything that he's published, unless he's coming out with a new book. He did just post a video the other day about Words of Radiance, like leatherbound, and then there's another secret project. I don't know if we're getting Stormlight Archive 5, maybe, but by September, I'll have read everything that he's published in Stormlight Archive. So that'll be a huge accomplishment. And then I can move on to Mistborn Error 2. So that'll be The Alloy of Law and Shadow of Self. Those are the first 2 books in the Wax and Wane series, and I'll be reading those in October. And then we'll move on to November, and that will be the last 2 books in the Wax and Wane series, and that'll be Bands of Mourning and Lost Metal. Once I get to November, I'll have read pretty much like all of his adult books, except the new one. It's like the Wizard's Guide Handbook to Surviving like 19th Century England or something like that, except that one. So I might throw that one in December. Then he has like his YA series, Skyward series, I believe it's called. So he has that one that I could jump into. So December at this point is free. So this will take me all the way till November, and then December is pretty much free. I gave myself also December in case I needed to push things back or in case I needed a little bit more time, but this will get me to like pretty much read almost all of his Cosmere books. I also have Arcanum Unbound, the Cosmere collection, and I bought this after I finished the first Mistborn book. But the cool thing about this book is that it has different short stories that go along with like some of his books. There's one called The Emperor's Soul. Oh, Edge Dancer's in here. I just realized Edge Dancer's in here, which is awesome. I didn't know that. Okay, so like the 11th Metal, it tells you before you start it, it says story may be read before the original Mistborn trilogy. So I could read that. I could read that after I read Mistborn or finish Mistborn, whatever. And then like the Emperor's Soul, I can read that now. Or I could read these after I finish my Cosmere journey. And then, you know, there's just different stories in here. So like if you get to Edge Dancer, it says this story contains spoilers for Words of Radiance. His goal was for us to read Edge Dancer and Words of Radiance together, and then Oathbringer and Dawn Shard together. So I like that it tells you do not read this unless you've read this, or this is meant to be read after this. So I think that, oh, there's like a little graphic novel in here. Sorry, I haven't looked through this whole thing, but there's called White Sand. This excerpt of the 2016 graphic novel is followed by the beginning of the 1999 draft that formed the basis of the graphic adaptation. Yeah, so there's Mistborn, The Secret History. I love the symbols too. Oh wow, there's so much. So Mistborn, Secret History. This novella contains major spoilers for the original Mistborn trilogy and minor spoilers for the Bands of Mourning. I won't get to the Bands of Mourning until November. Do I wait? I can move things around too. This is flexible. So if I need a break between like my Stormlight Archive books, huge Words of Radiance, and like Oathbringer, if I need a break between those two, I can start the Wax and Wayne series. So I'm pretty much following what he wanted like his order to be. And I thought, why not? He's the author. I should read it in the order that he thinks we should read it in. And so that's gonna be my year of Sanderson. If anybody wants to follow along or join me, that would be really cool. I'm excited. It's Year of Sanderson. It's gonna be a challenge, but I feel like it could be really rewarding, and I'm excited. I'm excited to like embark on this journey with Brandon Sanderson and all of the other Brandy Sandy fans. This is gonna be my journey, and we're gonna kick it off with the Well of Ascension, and I will catch you guys next time. And if you've made it this far, thank you so much. Please follow me and subscribe to the channel. But until next time.